Welcome back to another season of The Latest with Devin Dobeck and Brennan McLaughlin. We're ready to take you through the NFL throughout the course of our show, as well as some high school and a little bit of the MLB. But lots been going down, especially in New England the past couple days. So let's get right into it. So obviously, elephant in the room, Antonio Brown joins the Patriots after a lot of scuffles with the Oakland Raiders. He got into something with the manager, called him a few vulgar terms, and that ended up he lost a lot of guaranteed money, and he requested a release, and it was granted. But it's been quite the summer for Antonio Brown. Brennan, you want to get into some of the events that have transpired?
I mean, Antonio Brown, it all started last season, basically. Like, Le'Veon Bell, it corresponded with Antonio Brown. Just, it was a big drama fest in Pittsburgh. Antonio Brown basically bailed on his team in Week 17 against the Bengals when they could have made the playoffs, but they didn't ultimately. And then he got into it with management and then basically divided a whole locker room in Pittsburgh, which led to a season of failure for the Steelers, and Big Ben obviously being vulgar about it like he usually is. But then he requested a trade. Ultimately, he got sent out for a bag of chips because the Steelers just wanted to get rid of him as soon as they could. Raiders took a gamble. Do gotta say, John Gruden had a terrible first season with the Raiders, tried to pick up the offense.
Yeah, I just don't understand why he would get rid of Khalil Mack and then go after a guy like Antonio Brown. That doesn't make sense to me because Khalil Mack's killing it.
He got rid of Amari Cooper, too.
Yeah, he's just, I'm not sure I really like Gruden. He's getting paid $100 million over the next 10 seasons or so they must see something in him. But yeah, Antonio Brown, the Patriots actually tried to trade for him last spring, but the Steelers didn't want to trade him to a rival, and look how that turned out. He's going to be in New England now, and pretty crazy. But he had the whole foot episode. His feet were pretty banged up. Got into it with the manager.
And his season might be in jeopardy now. So.
Yeah. And now, as you know, probably heard the reports that he's been an alleged convict for rape. So he's on 3 accounts of sexual assault. They're trying to get him. His lawyer believes it's a money grab. He did report to Patriots practice today, so that was good to see. But crazy that he's going through all this stuff.
Yeah, Josh Gordon was on the exempt list. They're thinking of putting Antonio Brown on there until this all gets cleared up.
Yeah, he's getting about $24 million from New England and $9 million guaranteed, and he's got a $20 million option for next season. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for New England, but obviously happy to have him stacked. Our lineup is stacked. I know you don't like having him here. Why?
I don't know. Antonio Brown, there's just something I don't like about him. It seems like everywhere he goes, he's always a drama queen. Everything he does needs to be with reporters. Everything he says needs to be documented. And I just feel like the Patriots don't roll with that, but honestly, I've kind of changed my mind. Thinking like New England, it's a culture thing, so he'll probably grow up because now he has Tom Brady throwing him the ball, and Big Ben is no Tom Brady, or Derek Carr was no Tom Brady, and he actually has a coach that can influence his actions. So.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it plays out, and obviously opening night, a great game. Pats beat the Steelers 33-3, but if I had to compare Antonio Brown to something that Belichick's done, I'm taking Randy Moss. You think back to 2007, 2008, 2009, Bill Belichick goes after and gets Randy Moss from the Vikings, and he's kind of another kind of guy in the locker room. He does a few things off the field that a lot of people wouldn't really like, but I think Belichick likes to do this, and I think they kind of grow under him a little bit. He takes him under his wing, and obviously Randy Moss, one of the greatest receivers of all time.
You basically summed it up. Randy Moss, probably top 5 receiver all time. Tom Brady used him as his biggest weapon for probably 3 years in the prime of his career. Even the season of them going perfect through the regular season and losing the Super Bowl. Randy Moss was a big reason why that offense was so amazing.
And speaking of the offense, how about this year adding with Edelman and Josh Gordon, Antonio Brown?
That's even a better offense than they have when they went 16-0.
That's absolutely insane. And then you got James White, Sony Michel, Rex Burkhead, Philip Dorsett. Obviously, Demaryius Thomas just traded to New York. Yeah. But that was all due to the AB signing, so we don't really need him. Yeah. But stacked offense. Josh Gordon breaking that tackle for the touchdown against the Steelers. That was great to see in the first one of the season for the Patriots. So, yeah, it was a great game, and I'd look out if I was Miami because it was a great game. So upcoming schedule here, we got Miami. I feel like that's pretty much a win, even though it's down in Miami. You had something to say. You don't like us playing in Miami.
All right, Miami, that's the only stadium in the U.S. where Tom Brady has a negative record. And then last year, literally the Miami Miracle, Patriots were supposed to win that game by at least 10 points, and then Miami somehow pulled it out. Year before, lost on Monday Night Football, like by 2 touchdowns. But the Dolphins, don't get me wrong, significantly worse this year. Literally just got blown out by the
59-10.
Ravens, and Lamar Jackson, that was supposed to be a running QB, literally torched them with a perfect QB rating.
So going to Miami, you don't feel confident in the Patriots, or
No, I feel confident now looking how bad Miami is, because literally, like, everyone wants to be traded from there. Like, they're literally a report right after the game ended. Literally 10 players on the Miami Dolphins asked for trades.
yeah. And then I'd say we got a pretty easy schedule until we get to about November. Then it starts to heat up a little bit. So Steelers obviously blew them out. Dolphins, we should be able to handle them. Jets, Bills, all the division opponents are bye weeks in my opinion. Washington, pretty simple. New York Giants, you never know. They've been good
They're
against
so
Pats, but
50-50. Like, don't get me wrong, their offense is stacked. So is the Patriots' offense. Stacked. But honestly, that whole Browns team relies on Baker Mayfield throwing the football. And if he can't do that, the Browns are significantly going to be not good this year.
Yeah, so Giants, Jets, and then like you said, Browns will be a tough opponent. But it is at New England.
Honestly,
So
this
that's
whole stretch of games right here is going to be pivotal to their season.
I think going into Baltimore, that's a tough place to play, especially on the primetime stage. So we'll see how that
Philly
plays out.
too.
But then into the bye week, I like us going to Philly after 2 weeks rest, going in there, taking on the Eagles. And then I think the Cowboys are going to come out the defense. Whoever has the better defense is going to win that game, in my opinion. Houston, always a tough opponent, but we're going to have them on the road as well. So
That Sunday night game. When was the last
another
time
Sunday
Houston had a Sunday night game?
I don't know. But then Kansas City, but that's at
Jeez.
home, so I think we should be good
Yeah.
there. That's going to be an offensive showdown. And then Cincinnati, easy. Buffalo, Miami. So that's 2019 schedule right there. And yeah, if you forgot what happened last year, nothing more to be said about that.
Idiot.
Miami Miracle. Yeah, I don't know why Gronk was on the field, but won't have to
Really,
worry
why
about
would you
that
pull
this time.
Josh Gordon out? No, what? Irrelevant.
All right, so this week, Brennan, you had a few players in mind that you wanted to cover that really stood out to you. So
Honestly, going into week 1, these were probably the 2 biggest ifs. Like Lamar Jackson, best, probably most athletic quarterback in the NFL right
Heisman
now.
Trophy winner.
Heisman Trophy winner, had a amazing college years,
Louisville.
everything. Last year, rookie season, led his team to the playoffs after Joe Flacco forgot what a football was. And then, so now Lamar Jackson, everyone thought, oh, he can only run the ball, but he literally torched the Dolphins. They both, I'm just saying, they both had perfect QB ratings.
Yeah, Dak Prescott looked
That's-
sharp. 240
that is
passing
insane.
yards and a half, and that was good. And he spread the wealth. I mean, I think eight
Yeah,
different
like
people.
Randall
had-
Cobb. He made Randall Cobb into a good receiver.
Yeah, they really shined out. Obviously, Hollywood Brown had a big game in Baltimore. But they
Hollywood
were
Brown.
playing Miami. I was surprised. The Giants looked really good driving down the field against the Cowboys the first drive. Very quick drive, scored a touchdown, and I think all the Cowboys fans in AT&T were
We're
holding
like,
their
oh,
breath.
Come on.
And then Dak came out, put on a show, and they blew
The
him
Dallas defense
out.
started showing out
35-17.
right after that.
DeMarcus Lawrence, yeah.
Yeah. Leighton Vander Esch, too.
Yeah.
That man was all over the field. So, Cowboys are definitely a team to look for in the NFC.
Patrick Mahomes, this guy, reigning MVP. That no-look pass didn't go the way he wanted, but they looked really good. Are you afraid of Kansas City as records come close?
Records come close. The regular season game really doesn't matter. I honestly think it's once the playoffs, because the AFC Championship. I'm pretty sure there's at least an 80% chance it's gonna be a rematch from last year, which KC is probably the biggest threat the Patriots have as of right now, because Patrick Mahomes is, he's the best QB
He's a
in the
stud.
league. Can throw a ball 70 yards. How can you defend that? You practically can't. So, but Andy Reid's always known to choke in the playoffs, so that's why it's kind of a toss-up.
But obviously, Sammy Watkins had a big game in Kansas City, which I think takes us into our next thing. Sammy Watkins, 198 receiving yards, rather. And then Hollywood Brown, who we touched on earlier. But also for the Chiefs, going back to the Mahomes, they just acquired LaShawn McCoy, and then they got Damien Williams. Damian Williams.
Yeah.
So that'll be great. The Chiefs look good this year, and I think that they're the biggest threat to the Patriots.
Yeah, even with Tyreek Hill injured, I still think the Chiefs are fine.
4
Like
to 6
Sammy
weeks.
Watkins rattled off 3 touchdowns and almost 200 receiving yards. Like they're going to be fine.
So yeah, both those teams looked really sharp. Now let's talk about a team that didn't look sharp, and that's the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, a lot of hype coming in, acquiring Odell, have Jarvis Landry, David Njoku, Kareem Hunt acquired. Obviously, is out 8 weeks. Nick Chubb, but they looked terrible to a very good-looking Tennessee Titans team. Brennan, what should the Browns be concerned about this?
I don't know. So like the Browns, obviously most hyped team coming in because they haven't had a good team in years. But Baker Mayfield, honestly, early on they looked sharp, and that's when they were winning the game. But everything just fell out. Baker Mayfield had one of the worst fourth quarters in NFL history.
3 interceptions throughout the course of the
four
game.
drives, 3 interceptions, and a lost fumble. Like he was very inconsistent once it came to the fourth quarter. But the Browns defense, they were supposed to be good this year too. Like Myles Garrett was shut down. Denzel Ward got torched because
Grady Williams didn't play too well either.
Yeah, because Denzel Ward had to cover Delaney Walker the whole game, and Delaney Walker rattled off 2 touchdowns against him. But
Tennessee looking sharp. I'm also a little afraid of them. I think they play the Chiefs too. I want to see how that game plays out because if Marcus Mariota's playing good, and then that's scary. And you said Corey Davis didn't even have a catch in this game,
Yeah.
and he's their number 1 receiver, and they still blew out the Browns.
Yeah, but also think about it. It's week 1. Last year, week 1, Ryan Fitzpatrick was the MVP of the NFL through the first 3 weeks last year.
That's crazy. Now another powerhouse team, the San Diego Chargers. Austin Eckler looked absolutely outstanding. You love him, so I don't want to get into that.
I love Austin Eckler. He out of the backfield. Don't get me wrong. Melvin Gordon, one of the best running backs in the NFL. Austin Eckler, he can out of the backfield can catch the ball. He was running with power in this game too. So honestly, the Chargers look great without Melvin Gordon. So shockingly, because Austin Eckler last year, so like he was a backup, but he still got good numbers. And then now with him as a starter, he literally rattled off almost 100 receiving yards and like 60 rushing yards and had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon obviously in a holdout trying to do what Bell did last year and get paid a little bit. The expectation is he'll be back by week 6. Fingers crossed because he's on my fantasy team. But
Well, Austin Eckler on my fantasy team dropped 44th. That's all I gotta say.
All right, so moving on from the NFL a little bit, baseball, the MLB. It's been a lot of hype this year around the New York Yankees. Do you see them winning the World Series? Because honestly, as much as I hate to say it, they're my bet this year. They just look absolutely sharp, and they're doing all that without Stanton and a few key players.
Yeah,
They don't have
the
any.
Yankees. The Yankees this year are very impressive. Like literally, beginning early in the season, they were flooded with injuries. Like Didi barely played. So and then Glaber got injured. Judge was out until the All-Star break. Stanton got injured in April, and they still rattled off one of the best historic first half of the seasons in MLB history. And then this year, right behind the Twins, they're both breaking records for home runs in a season. Like their offense 1 through 9 is scary, and it's just something that most pitching staffs in the playoffs are not going to handle.
So yeah, they just clinched the AL East. So the Red Sox 3-year lead is obviously down, and this is my other World Series bet: the Los Angeles Dodgers. I see Dodgers Yankees. The Dodgers have looked unstoppable. They're the only 2 teams above 90 wins. The Yankees and the Dodgers. They just clinched their division, and they look really sharp. And I think they're ready for vengeance after losing the World Series last year to the Sox. So.
And the year before. Like Dodgers, every year seem to be in this position at this time of the year. So the Dodgers, I have confidence in them, but Dave Roberts, he always makes questionable calls in the World Series, and that's what cost them against Houston and the Red Sox. So the Dodgers, they don't really scare me since the Yankees have a deeper pitching staff also, because the Los Angeles Dodgers have Clayton Kershaw, but he has a horrible playoff track record. Anyone in their bullpen, there's Kenley Jansen and Joe Kelly, and then everyone else has a good night or a horrendous night. There's no in between. So the Dodgers scare me in that respect.
How do you feel about the Astros? Do you see the Astros as a threat as
The
well?
Astros can always make a run because honestly, I think they're more
Great
deep.
pitching staff.
Their pitching staff is
Zach Greinke
insane.
acquired.
Zach Greinke, Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole. That's probably one of the top 3 in MLB history right there. But honestly, that's going to be That's my ALCS pick, the Yankees and the Astros, and I just want to see that pitching staff go against that Yankee lineup. But don't get me wrong, the Houston lineup, that's deep too. George Springer, Altuve, Correa, Bregman, that's 4 right there.
Those are some teams to look out for. Now the team that no one really needs to look out for, as it's pretty much over for them, is the Boston Red Sox. Is obviously happy to see Ortiz doing well, but this picture of him pretty much sums up how the Sox season has been going. Dave Dombrowski obviously fired. And what do you think about Cora? I kind of want him out. I don't like
I feel like you should explain to me how you feel about Alex Cora.
I don't like Alex Cora because some of the decisions he makes, like not to drop bunts in the 9th inning when we're losing a run and we got a man on first, no out. Decisions like that are putting in a pinch hitter who bats 130 when you're down 2 runs, 2nd and 3rd. What are you thinking? Like, just moves like that I don't agree with. Sure, it's a matchup thing. You want a righty on a lefty. I just don't like Alex Cora. And all he does is sit in the dugout, chewing his gum, not even caring about anything in the world. And I don't know. I just don't think he's a face. I like the managers like Francona and Farrell that would get in the face of someone. And don't get me wrong.
Don't say John Farrell. John Farrell was awful.
He was, but he wasn't afraid to speak his voice. And I don't know. I just don't like Alex Cora. Obviously, he won a World Series. But think about it. 3 of the last 4 Red Sox managers have won World Series in their first year. It's not really that big a feat. I would have liked to keep Francona. Francona won in 04 and 07, 04 being his first year. John Farrell in 2013, and then Cora now. Bobby Valentine, we're not even going to... He doesn't deserve the time. He doesn't deserve my oxygen for me to talk about him. He's got to be the worst manager of all time. I don't even want to talk about Bobby Valentine. But why do you like Cora? Why do you think he should stay?
No, Cora's a player's manager, so he won't speak his mind if his players don't want him to. So he goes off the feedback of the players. But this year, he hasn't handled adversity very well. Beginning of the season, honestly, he wanted to have his players remember the World Series and go back. So, like, I don't understand, like, why he wants to do that, which didn't lead to a good half, and it's not leading to a second half either. Good second half either. So, Alex Cora, there's like a mixed review, but I don't know.
The one thing I do like about Alex Cora is he's always remained optimistic. Even though we've been losing and losing, he's always saying, so there's still a chance, we're going to keep fighting, there's still a chance. That's probably the one thing I like about him. But I don't know. And I can't blame it all on him because it's a lot of the pitching. The starting pitching has been awful. Rick Porcello has been terrible. The only upside is Eduardo Rodriguez. He's been a stud for the Red Sox. He's up there in wins. He's like 5th in wins in the AL.
Yeah,
I think he's been pitching pretty well. But think about it. We have 3 Cy Young winners on the staff, and they have probably one of the worst starting ERAs in the league. Chris Sale, David Price, Rick Porcello, 3 Cy Young winners. All of them not pitching well this year. Obviously,
Chris Sale got his money. He does. I said that. Once flat out he got his money, he's not going to care as much as he did before.
I don't think it's as much as a care thing. It's just his control has been off, and obviously a season-ending injury. I think next year he'll be good. But do you like the starting rotation that we have going now?
The Red Sox are going to be awful next year. There's reports out there that JD and Mookie could leave this offseason.
I don't think JD will. I think he said he wants to finish in Boston. He's going to take the money. And I think the Red Sox will pick him over Mookie Betts because Mookie's going to be another one of those guys who's going to be very hard to please with the number you're putting at him.
Yeah, but Mookie is so up and down. Like last year, he had probably the best season out of anyone in the MLB, probably in the last 5 years.
He was the MVP. So.
He was the MVP, but he is so inconsistent. Like this whole season until August, he was batting 260, 270, that range. His fielding,
he's a Gold Glove winner for 2 years.
It's
I think he's a pretty good fielder.
It's self-explanatory, but he's just so inconsistent at the plate. And I
mean, 285 is not a bad average. I mean, you got to give that to him. 285 is not.
He's not worth $350 million like Mike Trout money. Mike Trout's been consistent for the past 10 years. Mookie has had 3 years where he's been batting below 280, but his 2 other years he was MVP candidate. So like, it just seems like he gets hot for a whole season, but then the next season he won't be.
I do like Rafael Devers and Xander Bogaerts. I think they've been studs, as well as the bullpen. The bullpen was horrendous. I think the beginning of the season, first half, they'd blown about 20 games for the starters. But the bullpen.
Saying, once Heath Hembree got injured, they
got Josh Taylor, Darwinson Hernandez. You haven't seen too much of Matt Barnes, but Brandon Workman with that curveball. They've all looked really good and sharp for the Sox. But when Porcello's given up 6 after 4, there's not much you can do. And I'm sure if you ask Mr. Fem about that, he'll give you an earful. So Yeah, but it's been tough. But let's turn into the more local side of things. Ironically, this connects local and baseball, as you've probably heard Isan Diaz out of Central High School. I actually played for his father when I was in 6th grade.
Yeah,
I know
so
you
did
played
I.
a little younger for him. But he went to the MLB. His father went viral. You probably saw that on Instagram or Twitter or something somewhere. He hasn't been playing too well. He's batting about a little under 200, but he was at the top of the lineup, and his first hit was a home run in great fashion. And we're just happy to see him representing the 413 up in the MLB. And if there's anything you want to add to that.
No, that's pretty much it. A guy from Springfield in the MLB is pretty self-explanatory.
Unbelievable infielder. He's
Yeah.
a lot of player of the years at the lower levels, but he hasn't
Yeah, drafted out of high school too.
Yeah.
He had a full ride to Vandy and he picked the MLB, so he's talented.
A very good player. Unfortunately, he may be sent down. I know you said you heard rumors.
No, and they said they're gonna stick him out through the rest of the season because it's past September 1st, and that's the minor league deadline for call-ups. So he'll stick it out this year, and then hopefully he can start producing more, and then get that spot solidified for next year.
Yeah, Marlon's obviously in rebuild mode, and I think he's going to be a focal point of that. And I wouldn't be surprised if in 5 years if he was batting 280 and Gold Glove winner, because I think he's going to be a good player. He just needs a little time and to get used to the new big stage that he's on. So now into the real local things, what we've all been waiting for. Spartan football's back. So the Spartans will take on the Putnam Beavers Friday night at Central High School. Yes, Central High School. 5 o'clock. We hope to see you there. We're excited to do the game in our send-off season as well for all the other seniors. I'm looking forward to this one. Obviously, we blew out Putnam last year, but anything can change. We've got a lot of new faces
literally
in
have
the
a whole
lineup
new
this year.
team this year.
Aiden Bean starting at quarterback, and then at the wings, Alex Joyce, Casey Maloney, John Oliver's going to be playing a little fullback. And the defense, I think the defense will be pretty good. You got Frank Ferrantino coming back. I think West is still injured. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And then I'm not sure if Alex is playing defense either, but you got Dylan Quigley, Nico Mojan, those young guys. Well, now they're juniors now.
Yeah, they're not young anymore.
But they're going to have a good season. Looking forward to it. 5 o'clock at Central High School. Spartans in Putnam. Looking forward to a good one. We're going to be a little more involved in football this year. We're going to do the play-by-play, and we're going to try and get some player interviews. So try and tune in if you miss the game on LCAT, and we'll give you the insight. We may not get interviews at the road games as we're going there, but it'll be definitely tune in. It'll be a good game. Looking forward to it. Spartan soccer with this nice picture of Robbie here.
Hey, Rob.
So Spartans boys soccer, I think they're 1-1.
Yeah, I want to say.
They're off to a good start. Obviously, they only had 4 or 5 wins last year, so 500 record is not terrible. They lost to Belchertown, but Robbie Michalski.
Belchertown won Western Mass last year, so it was a tough game.
Robbie Michalski had a hat trick against the team they played in their first game.
Central.
They won 6-0 in that one. Looking forward to a good season by them, led by Robbie Michalski, Aiden Voigt, Colin Walsack.
Yeah.
Trying to think who else is on that team.
Dylan Bousquet.
Yep,
Yeah.
Dylan Bousquet, Kyle Richards, all the seniors out there. Looking forward to seeing. I believe they have a game Friday night too, or do they? They might not. I think the girls do. So speaking of the girls are off to a tough start. They are 0-2-1. They tied Ludlow. They lost to Minnechaug and Longmeadow. A few tough games, but I think they're scoring a little more than they did last year. I think they just need to kind of get their chemistry up, and I feel like they're going to have a good season once they get everything together. Gianna Corey's looked great in net thus far. Beanie Mazza, leading scorer, she's looked really good, and a few young standouts. Emma Catanzarides looked really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, girls soccer, and so that pretty much sums up our first episode. Thank you for joining us. I'm Devin Dobeck alongside Brennan McLaughlin, and have a good night, and we hope to see you at Central High School for Spartan football on Friday, 5 o'clock. See you next time.